pray through music. So I personally think, because as we travel, personally, I feel like as we travel, we do not get enough time to go to church. But I think I do. I don't know about them. Let me speak for myself. Me personally, when I'm in my hotel room, I've got no one to fellowship with. I'm just alone. It makes things easy for me to interact with God direct when I worship. So that's how music can connect me with God.
I completely agree. I think that music has been such a strong vehicle to get to God directly, especially when I don't have the words in prayer or I don't have the focus that I need when listening to the sermon. And so praise and worship has always been the part of service that, one, it's first, and so it lays the foundation. It sets the atmosphere for how you want God to move in that space. But at home, it just provides an opportunity for me to connect to God without having the communion of other individuals in our church. And so it allows me to have that direct connection with God. One of my favorite artists, I don't know if you know them, but Maverick City Music is my favorite group. Y'all know them? Okay, that's really good. I love them so much. I listen to Mav every day, and it's just so pure how they worship. It's so raw, it's so real, it's authentic, and it's very youthful. And so it allows even our generation, which I think is kind of falling back from God, but I hope that we'll get closer and closer to him. It allows us to know that it's, not that God is a trend or that worship is a trend, but it makes it so acceptable and so honorable and so real. And it just makes it easy to worship when you see young people worshiping with their hoodies and their jeans and their t-shirts, and they're just giving God their best. And so I think that music has not only allowed us to have that direct vehicle, but it has shown us that it is possible to do so at this young age and to be able to minister and share our love of God. And so I think that music is the thing for me. I agree. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how much music has been able to connect us across barriers and even across ages, which I think is really big right now.
Okay, so as okay, you're good.
Can I answer?
Yes, you
All
can.
right, kill it. Yeah, music has made me has raised a lot of questions for me in my religious pursuance, because it's I feel like it's a double-edged sword of I think in a lot of cases, me having played in church, music is used as a tool to minister. So it makes it feel extremely human and non-divine, but then there's also the aspect of it where there are people who are tone deaf or don't have the gift for it. But even if you put them all together, if there's 1,100 tone deaf people and you sang something at them, they could it would be still so overwhelming and beautiful, it happens at concerts all the time when people are leading the crowd and stuff. So it's kind of forced me to really define how I see or how I relate to God in this crazy world,
Okay. So I'm Liberian, if I didn't say that. So growing up in Liberia, music has always been a part of our culture. From since I was 6 years old, my brother sang, my mom did, my grandma, she did. She would come and watch us sing in the crowd and just cheer us on. And I feel like that's where my love for music came about. And I've been singing in the church, worshiping with my fellow friends and family in the church, and also just expressing my love for God. And when I came to the States and seeing young adults like me, worshiping, having so much love for their religion, having so much love for their faith, and just doing it with their whole heart, it really inspired me to like be a member of the Spelman College Glee Club and to continue singing and to be a Bowman scholar. So that's music from my end. So Ariana, you want to get this?
Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you guys so much for your answers. To shift the topic, so when I was doing research, I came across your website, and you had a sentence on there that really just spoke to me. It said, barriers are no longer a hindrance, but the ultimate inspiration. And so I was wondering if you guys could just touch on that and what that means to you personally.
So, to take you a bit back with the choir dynamics, is the choir started off as an after-school program to keep kids off the streets and, ultimately just creates a curriculum where, like, from school you can come and just join in and sing. And through that, after a couple of years, they noticed that most of the choristers were not able to further their studies, could either be for financial reasons or they just couldn't. So then they decided to then turn it into a professional performing choir. And I think that resonates from that because we were trying to break the barrier between the entertainment industry being only based on people who are informed and have the availability of resources, which we did not have. So we were just taking a risk, and ultimately it came down to faith. So we were just faithful of the fact that we would become something. And serendipity to that, AGT then contacted us to then come audition for AGT, and then everything else has been a bliss since then. Yeah, so it comes from that. Thank you.
Okay. The next question. This one, it's more about like our goals and like our intention and our reason for being here today. So, what are 3 goals or specific things you wish to accomplish on this trip? Yes, on your visit here.
I just wish that it gets us more gigs, number one. I feel like in every tour, we learn new things about ourselves, about each other, and we keep growing and growing. So I just wish that could continue for us, that we keep on growing. Either we grow mentally or we just grow, and then we get to learn different things about each other, like I said. So, but my main goal is that it gets us more kids. That's what I want. And because like we've already taught a lot, we've been to America, we already know the kind of people Americans are. They are very beautiful. We come across different kinds of people all the time. So yeah, I could say I have like one main goal. Yeah.
So the main 3 for me is, okay, first and foremost, I am very shy. I don't know if you can tell, I'm very shy. So it's quite hard for me to then interact with people, but this tour in particular would help me a lot to like work on my confidence, because on stage I completely different. I become like such a fierce, complete different person, right? Yeah, so I want to work on my confidence and like being able to just confront people and talk to you, without being shy or fear of being judged or anything like that. And secondly, is to interact with different cultures. I want to learn from like what's life like for you guys here, because believe it or not, it's very different from where we're from. So when you guys come around like, oh, you need to park, it's not to park your car. Be like, back then, like home, it's not like that. You need to be in your 30s to have cars, So I'm trying to understand the dynamics between that, and ultimately, make new friends. I'd love to make friends with you guys. I really would, yeah.
For me, getting more gigs, as she said, that one is the number one for me too. And secondly, getting to know different people, you know, as it's my first time here, so I'm getting to know you guys. I'm still gonna get to know you, I know that for sure. But that number one, getting more gigs and touring a lot. That one for me, it's a big one. Yeah, so far.
Okay, so you guys have done a lot of things over the course of just your whole history. You've performed with Grammy Award-winning artists, been on AGT several times, and just have had so many just like star-studded performances. So I was wondering, how do you stay grounded in the midst of all the traveling and all the appearances, and how do you stay connected to your roots and just, maintain a sense of just calmness in the midst of all the chaos?
I think on your question, I think self-discipline is the main thing there. And our music, I can say we stay connected to our roots and our own music, because the music that we do, we bring that African feel into it. So we don't really lose that Africanness that is in us. We embrace it everywhere we go. And we really want people to learn about our cultures, because we've got different kinds of cultures, various cultures, different kinds of music for every kind of culture. So I would say that self-discipline is one thing that an individual must have to just keep their cool, keep calm, and yeah, I think so.
For me personally, I think it's where we come from. Because this question came in 2019, and we were a lot busier than we are right now. So they asked that, how do you stay grounded? And it took me back that home. We come from a very small village, and then there everybody knows us. And then a week before, maybe you come from Durban or Johannesburg, and then in Johannesburg, when you get there, everybody escorts you. You are a superstar. But when you get home, they just look at you, you know. So that thing keeps us grounded. It keeps us humble, because you get home. At home, you are not a superstar. We don't care. We just saw you on TV, but you need to wash the dishes. You know. So that's what keeps us. I feel like that's what keeps us humble and grounded, and to remember that we are children that has to stay there, because our personalities, I think, brought us where we are. So if you switch, you want to live like somebody, Kespanyo vest type of a person, you're gonna have a problem.
So to add on to what they said, so we are a choir that consists of 38 choruses. So within that, everyone comes from different backgrounds, right? So I feel because of that, you learn from each other. So obviously, you know, you can get carried away sometimes and get ahead of yourself, but by seeing the next person being grounded, it also has an effect on you as well. And, you know, we have times where we communicate and we teach each other stuff without actually even having to say it, you know? So I feel that's what also keeps us grounded as a choir.
Okay, so going off of what you said in your previous comment about the experience being different, like being here in America and being in Africa, it's two separate places, very different culture. So the next question would be, what are like the biggest changes that you've noticed between America and your experience being in Africa so far? And anyone can answer, you guys can.
So one of the major difference for me would have to be, we all youths, right? But like our youth back home is vastly different to what you guys are like here. So here it's more advanced, you know, because you guys already have cars and but there you need to be rich or wealthy in order for you to have a car. Do you get what I mean? And that's really different from us. And you guys are further on with life, because at 18 you move out of home, we literally stay home till you're like 35 or something, you know? And that's a norm back home. And when you get here, you kind of feel the pressure of like, am I really doing good or am I falling out behind, you know? So yeah, that's the major difference for me here. Yeah.
Yeah, being 18 and having a car, it still is a shock to me because I'm like, who owns a car? My mom doesn't have a car. What are you talking about?
Okay, so my next question. We are both very successful Black organizations, and because of that, there's often a pressure to always be perfect and to represent our race and to represent our school and maybe South Africa for you. So how do you navigate that pressure? And if there are times where you feel like you don't live up to that standard, what do you do to bounce back? That's my question.
Okay, I could say that I don't really believe in that. I think you put pressure on yourself. Protecting your brand is something that you must always do, and as like our brand consists of like, how can I just say, happiness, hope, and stuff like that. So I think as a person, you must really just look at what you do and what other people see you do, but do not put your pressure on yourself to a point where you are living a lie, because you just want to protect this thing so much that you end up being 35 and you feel like you haven't lived your life as a young person. Live your life as a young person, but just guard what you do, where you go, the things you say to people, like stuff like that. But I really believe that you should also, as a person, live your life to the fullest, so that when you're older, you don't look back and be like, wow, I did so much for this thing, but I didn't do so much for myself. Yeah.
As for me, I think it's something that I taught myself, but I once heard somebody saying it, that if you want to be able to protect your brand easily, you must be that brand. It helps you your life becomes easy, because you don't have to live two lives and have two Facebook accounts. That this one you post whatever you want, nobody knows it's you. Then this one, it's where everybody sees that clean person. You know, you must be that brand, be that person everybody sees on stage, and even behind the scene, they still see the same person. So for me to be able to protect our brand easily, I live that brand. I am that brand.
So the choir represents resilience, hope, and unity. So us coming from humbling beginnings, it's a lot easier for us to represent that because we live that life, And for me personally, I always feel that the point of purpose is people. You need to amount to something that's bigger than yourself, Then there needs to be given points where you give back to people, and be it through music or through your work, So being selfless within the choir is like a thing, and not in a sense of like you rejecting yourself, but like it's giving back to the people through music, just creating unity and like breaking barriers, because you have that norm that you need to be from a certain place in order for you to reach a certain level. But with us, we're trying to break that narrative and create a new narrative that it's possible. If we can do it, then why can't you?
I just wanted to turn it around a little bit. You all have been asking all the questions. And so what questions do you have in Ndovu of the group? So that, because you all are just wonderful, you're so wise, so wise. But what questions do you have for these folks that are assembled here?
Oh, what I would like to ask you guys is that, what have you guys heard about Africa that you think is not true?
So,
Who wants to start?
can I start? I can start, but okay, so, okay. At Spelman, we're required to take a class called African Diaspora in the World. And we do a deep dive into the true history of Africa, and we debunk a lot of the myths like, oh, Africa's poor, or like, there's no way that Africa can be as successful as the United States or anything like that. And we get to actually look into our history. And so while we have heard lies from maybe like mainstream, here at Spelman, I feel like because of our education, our commitment to excellency, and education, we have debunked a lot of those lies. And so I feel like we sort of understand each other now. So, yeah.
Yeah, and let me just say something about that course. The African Diaspora and the World course is required for all Spelman women. It doesn't matter if you transfer in or if you begin as a first-year student. You have to take that course. And the purpose is to situate yourself as a person of African descent and to understand that people of African descent have inhabited the entire world, and that we have made contributions across the world, whether it be in the literature, whether it be history, the arts, that we as a people have a particular history that's been erased. And so we want to center the continent. That's the other thing, the continent of Africa. Africa is not a country. Okay, you hear a lot of people in the U.S. suggesting that Africa is a country, but they understand the diversity of the continent and the richness that comes from we as a people who have a shared history of being of African descent. So I just wanted you all to understand we're very intentional at Spelman to make certain that our students understand who they are and who we came from.
I wanted to say that a common misconception here is that Africa is small. And it's really interesting that they say that because it's huge. Like, the United States literally fits inside of Africa. There are so many different types of African people that are completely different, so there's no way that Africa could be so small. But there's so many differentiations of the people. So.
I was just going to say, I love what you mentioned tonight, and also how you were speaking about ADW, because African Diaspora and Worldview broadened my scope of the world, and I appreciated it so much as someone who is a part of the African diaspora, being a descendant specifically from the West Indies, and how you mentioned before, coming from so many different places and being able to still connect. I feel like the AUC is a great example of that as well. The African Student Association, for example. We just recently had a cultural festival for AUC Japan. So I think we have a big conglomerate of differences here that we have still found a way to create beautiful music, just like all of you. I think we're very similar.
That's what they're asking us.
They're asking questions.
Do you guys have
I don't have any question.
Okay.
No question?
Okay, while we're trying to figure it out, I'll answer the question that was asked about like misconception about Africa. So, it's referred to as gatekeeping. So some people think that like African, we kind of like don't really want to share our culture with people. And I don't think that's true. We are very generous. We do not gatekeep. We love, like, every single opportunity we get to share, to just talk about our culture. It's like, okay, I could go on forever. We love to share our cultural background with people because Africa is so big, so many cultures. Like, one of the things that we can all agree on is the Liberian jollof rice. It's very good. And I told Father Mark, I was like, we have to prepare some African food. We have to bring jollof rice. We couldn't get ogusi because I don't know who cooks it very well. Like, it tastes like it's actually from Nigeria. So I couldn't get ogusi and eba, but we did get the jollof rice. So yes, we do love to share our culture.
Which country in Africa has the best jollof rice?
Okay, so this is a long-standing debate, and we're gonna ignore her and just look at me.
I want to actually answer the question. So my family is Nigerian, but I've spent most of my life in the U.S., so I think I kind of got many different experiences when it came to that, and I grew up in a church that was almost completely Nigerian, and I think that one thing with Nigerians is like there's a big stereotype that we're very arrogant, and I always debunked it, but I think that as I've grown and I've met more Africans outside of Nigeria, I think I've learned that it is kind of true that like a lot of us Nigerians, because of, I don't even know how to explain it, but I think that a lot of times that the way that we're just taught to see other people, we're taught that like, oh, we're the best, we're this, we're that. So I think that something, especially coming to Spelman, has taught me is to definitely be open-minded, to definitely be more receptive of other people's cultures and to not put my own culture first. So I think getting to speak to people that are from a different African country has been really amazing to get to learn more about you guys, the languages you speak, what it's like living in South Africa. So thank you for coming here.
And just to answer that question, Liberia does have the best jollof rice.
No, it doesn't.
Just saying, you guys are witness. You guys had the jollof rice. So
If you had told me, I would have gone home. And I would
okay. I get it. She agreed with me earlier. She agreed that Liberian jollof rice was really good. That's why I was like, Liberia.
Okay, so tell us about that piece you're going to teach us to sing.
Yes.
And we're going to close the concert with.
Oh, Kinayo Morena. Okay. It's a gospel song. Yeah, Kinayo Morena, it's a gospel song. It's in Kinayo Morena ke fitlhile. Here I am, God, I think. God, here I am in front of you. It's just, I think it's just like a prayer. Kinayo Morena, here I am, God, in front of you, yeah. I am giving myself unto you. So, yeah, it's a very beautiful song. And it's not hard. I don't think you guys are going to struggle with, because we taught a choir in Europe, and they were so quick. So I think for you guys, it's going to be like fast, chop, chop. So, yeah, it's a very beautiful song. Yeah.
I have a question. I feel like there's so many elements of being in an esteemed choir like this, especially with giving the opportunity to travel and meet so many different people. So I just want to ask anybody in the room, what's your favorite part of being in an organization like this? So is it the traveling, the meeting new people, the music? I think we all probably stay up having rehearsal as well. So the rehearsing, the music, what is your favorite part?
Hello. It's definitely the meeting new people. I'm sure